Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. And we have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's going to be Phobos taking on Ketroc in the bottom right. So we've got two very, very good Terran bots going to be taking each other on. And they're very distinct from each other, as Phobos is known for going for just a clear and concise push, whereas Ketroc is a macro bot that tends to have a fair few types of builds. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these two clash against one another. We are on the map Interloper, the AI edition, of course. And so, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this video, make sure to go ahead, click that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below saying more bots if you want to see more of these bot matches. And then subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And you can also join the Discord, which is linked down below. We got a bit of a community there. You can talk bots. And yes, let's see how this one is going to go, as we do have an SCV scout from Phobos, going to be just going into Ketroc's main. We see all the little green lines of the shift queue. Interesting how the bot authors pick where to scout with the SCV, but then it immediately turns around upon seeing the command center and is like, yep, that's fine, command center, no danger, I'm going home. Now, speaking of no danger, Ketroc may be trying to establish no danger in this game as it goes for an eBay, so I can only assume this will be a planetary first at its natural, which is a very strong strategy against bots, because bots can have a hard time just sort of bypassing a planetary. And let's see here, Phobos opened up with a Reaper. It's actually going for a second Reaper, and then just mining some gas. Something that I'm quite sure is it's cool to see Phobos mining gas out of just two SCVs in each refinery, as that is the most efficient way to mine gas, to my knowledge, is you don't get as big of a bump with 3, from my understanding anyway. Do have a command center on the way for the Red Terran, though, as the first couple Reapers are going to move out on the map. Now, they could potentially have some success if they jump up the cliff, but Ketroc has seen to that by going for a very, very well-positioned wall. I'm wondering if this is pre-selected, but this will stop the Reapers jumping into his main base, and that will kind of direct them towards the planetary fortress. Okay, never mind. That was not a solid wall. Okay, I'm a little silly on that, but apparently that wasn't quite a solid wall for Ketroc. Now, 2 Marines are chasing the Reapers away. Another Marine does pop out, shooting at these Reapers, which are then going to path behind the planetary fortress, just trying to make their way out of there. Unfortunately, they get too close to said planetary and do get nuked. So, while that hole was unfortunate for Ketroc, it is completely fine. I guess it's just the corners of those buildings are touching, so it's not a solid wall. As a result, the planetary picks up another kill, taking down that Hellion. So Phobos' early TVT pressure is not going that well, as it committed to a fair few units at this point in the game, but then hasn't really got much done. Gonna start shooting this rock and that refinery as the Hellion just kind of stays put. The Reaper is in the main base of Ketroc, denying some mining time. It's also very notable, the mining distribution of these bots, as Ketroc has got so many SCVs on gas right now, full bore on the gas mining, with a much higher gas income than its opponent, but it had a smaller mineral income as a result, as Phobos is only on 3 gases. So little things like that do impact games in the long run, and those are decisions you need to make as a bot author, how you want to prioritize certain resources, that kind of thing. With Ketroc being a bit of a mech bot, saying strategy Raven, it's understandable that it wants as much gas as possible, though. And then just hanging out with its tank now by this planetary, so it's just very locked into this location. We do have a medivac on the way for Ketroc. This is a cool feature by Ketroc, that the a medivac will be produced, and since bots can control all units independently, it will actually sort of just be a bro to the SCVs and fly around, heal them all up. So I'm actually wondering if this medivac is triggered by how many injured SCVs there are, because, like, I don't recall ever seeing a 4-minute Raven from Ketroc previously, but in this game it's got like 10 injured SCVs at least, so maybe that's the reason for that. For now, though, Ravens are on the way, extra starports on the way. Phobos just doing its thing, building up a rather normal-looking Terran army compared to Ketroc's, which is just Ravens and starports. As that medivac now healing up the Marines, too. Very cool to see. More and more starports on the way. Neither bot has taken a third base just yet, as they're both just powering up. Vikings are going to be very important in this match, and Phobos does tend to build Vikings as they pair very well with siege tank pushes. The Reaper constantly coming in for Phobos as well to scout out Ketroc's base. But yeah, just a very, very respectful opening between these two. Because that Reaper really has a tough job. Go across the map, get shot by a tank, go home, have a day off, and then go back into battle. As that's exactly what keeps happening to this poor Reaper. We do have a third command center on the way for Phobos. I'm a big fan of command centers on location as Terran. And look at that, Ketroc does that as well. So very similar timed third bases from these bots. Ketroc has got slightly more workers than Phobos as well. So I'm wondering if Phobos' worker count, although it's actually building a couple more, so I guess it just prioritizes units over workers, which has made it fall behind just ever so slightly. And is mining slightly less than Ketroc, and it's actually pulling some of those SCVs to go for an attack on Ketroc, heading towards the third base of the Blue Terran. Now, Ketroc only has some Marines and Ravens to defend this, really. Auto turrets are actually getting thrown down by Phobos right away. Tanks are coming on in, rolling up. Will they siege to potentially kill this SCV, building this command center? It looks like Phobos is prioritizing getting towards the natural. It does delay the command center by killing the SCV, but then it kind of backs up a little bit upon seeing all of Ketroc's stuff. So this game is already heating up a little bit as Ravens have used a lot of their energy. Ketroc has successfully got one tank set up in this location. Marines are stutter stepping for Phobos all the way on top of this tank. I think they're actually going to get it, which is quite nice, as this third command center of Ketroc does get canceled. Refineries instantly get canceled upon the CC getting canceled, which is very optimal programming, because of course there's no point in having refineries if you don't have a base. Phobos now stimming forward, going to have to try and break this planetary at the natural. The tanks, if they get sieged up, could potentially do a lot of work. We do have tanks in range of other tanks, though, as Ketroc does lose its defensive tank. This is very painful for the Blue Terran bot. Army supply is about double for Phobos as these tanks are shelling away. Vikings in the sky. It's currently 6-3. Ketroc isn't really making anything as it's heavily bottlenecked by its gas. There is another command center at a new third base location, though, that is giving more gas mining, which is very important. We're going to see the racks die potentially, though, so that'll mean no more factories, but fortunately for Ketroc, it's just building air units, so that's not the biggest deal. Marines are moving forward, working away on this engineering bay now, which is being repaired, but that's SCVs that are dying in this fight. So things are looking quite rough for the Blue Terran right now. This tank and planetary are not going to be easy to kill, but quite a few SCVs are dying to go for this repair. Auto turret getting thrown down. Ketroc is now producing 5 Vikings at a time to try and challenge the air dominance of Phobos, which would be the first step in coming back in this game, but now falling down to 39 SCVs as just so many are getting targeted down. The SCVs of Phobos run by the planetary to try and repair its own Vikings, as Ketroc does successfully muster up enough Vikings to push Phobos' air units away. I think Phobos may have scouted that other base, though. Perhaps. Either way, it does seem quite content just to keep shelling away on this planetary. Auto turret kills one tank. The second one actually dies to a tank on the high ground and another one. So Ketroc is holding on for now, but make no mistake, it is incredibly far behind, as we've got, well, that's a 4th and a 5th base getting established for Phobos, whereas Ketroc just has its 3rd base. Hasn't, oh, it's actually having a bit of a bug there. Oh, I guess it's supply blocked which is why it keeps queuing up an SCV then canceling it, but now it's no longer doing that. So that's actually a bit of a rare bug from Ketroc, where this base isn't turning into a planetary nor an orbital command. I do kind of wonder what's causing that, as Ketroc's supply is really freaking out. Vikings in the sky are now shooting down Medivacs, as Ketroc does have the greater number of air units presently, 10-4, as Phobos lost 7 for none of Ketroc. So the army control of Ketroc and just the defensive positioning giving it an advantage there, as this SCV is just stuck in limbo, getting produced, then immediately canceled. We'll have to see if Ketroc ever breaks out of that bug. That is a bug I don't think I've ever seen before from Ketroc. Now, Bio is trying to move forward for Phobos. It's got 1-1 upgrades, so that's not bad. There's plenty more Vikings being made by the Red Terran as well. However, the tank count has been sort of thinned out a little bit. We'll see if it can potentially push on in past this planetary fortress location. More tanks are inching forward. This SCV does eventually complete, so I do wonder what the cause of that was. Maybe not having enough gas or priority or something. I don't know, maybe trying to build like a Raven instead of making that planetary, but then also wanting to build the planetary. Who knows? Anyway, we do have auto turrets getting thrown down, soaking damage, as Phobos isn't getting too much real damage done. The tank on the high ground for Ketroc kills off one of Phobos' tanks. The Bio is just kind of buffering and soaking for Phobos as its own tanks keep shooting away, keeping in mind that repairing planetaries is not free. Vikings versus Vikings, it's currently 13-8, so Phobos does have the lead in that regard. So Ketroc really can't utilize its own Vikings to bully Phobos. I do like the Vikings in the back for Ketroc, actually, as it may be realizing that it can't take that fight, so just keeping them further back. As there is a very nice tank line for the Blue Terran, though, as Phobos tries to move on in, but then loses a few units here and there. Auto turrets keep getting thrown on out. The Blue Terran has not had its third base be pushed yet, but it is still hard stuck on 3 bases, as Phobos just takes more and more locations, getting up more and more production. These are all orbitals, I believe, as well, which means it's going to have more and more MULE money, which is a big advantage in this matchup. Like, when we take a look at it, Ketroc has 1 orbital command versus the present 5 of Phobos, so that's a lot more mules for the Red Terran, and it definitely needs it, as it has been taking much worse trades than Ketroc. Tanks versus tanks, that's a nice pick-off there for Phobos. Yeah, Phobos definitely needs to mine more, as it is trading out worse than Ketroc. Vikings and Ravens and tanks and planetaries, it's a very cost-efficient composition. Even AI struggles with it, it seems, which is good to see. It's not just me in my ladder games. Now, we do have these Vikings doing their thing, as Phobos continues to try and push forward, but that's the difficult thing as a bot author, knowing when to try and break a planetary, when to stim in with the Bio, or just managing unit movement to try and inch forward with the tanks. Like, Phobos is inching its tanks forward, shooting away at its enemy. It has cut Ketroc off from its third base, so it can't really transfer SCVs or anything. There's also no 4th started for the Blue Terran, although it does have quite a mineral surplus, so I wouldn't mind a CC built in the main for Ketroc. Now, Ketroc is moving out. Its Vikings are grouped up better than those of Phobos, as Phobos does take a poor Viking trade there, falling down in the Viking count. Currently 16 dead Vikings to 3. The main loss, the loss leader for Ketroc, has been the SCVs that have died in the repair game. All of a sudden, Ketroc does get out, though, and throws up a new base. A 4th and a 5th on the way is very important. Phobos may want to be a bit more aggressive here, as it's got a massive bank, a massive amount of production, and so it could definitely wants to trade out some of its stuff, kills off a few of Ketroc's SCVs. Notably, the SCVs aren't trying to run away and save themselves or anything like that. Bio does stim forward for Phobos, however, we see what happens, so me requesting Phobos be more aggressive is kind of just saying, go kill all your Marines running into tanks and planetaries. Vikings versus Vikings is still going very well for Ketroc, as it's got the numbers compared to its opponent, and I think it's got slightly better grouping. Ravens dropping auto turrets is big, but look at this. All of a sudden, Ketroc is taking all the bases around the map that have not been claimed. This is the one unclaimed location. We'll see if either Phobos takes it or Ketroc takes it. As, yeah, how many bases is it right now? As Ketroc has secured up well, okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up against 8 presently for Phobos. So whoever gets that extra base is actually quite important, but I think that Team Eris's bots, which make Phobos, are actually programmed not usually to take more than their share of bases. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I don't think it's something we see too often because there really is no reason for, although it looks like an SCV may be queuing over there. There really is no reason for Phobos not to build a CC on that location. There's also some bio kind of being pulled back and forth, probably due to this planetary positioning, messing with Phobos' pathing a little bit. Ketroc is growing up in army supply as well, as it's now 191 supply against 170, as the Meching Terran kind of has the requirements of hitting 200 supply, then potentially being carried by being more cost-efficient than its opponent. There's still a ways to go for Ketroc, though, as this bio, the tanks on the ground, are still keeping a nice contain on the blue Terran. SCVs trying to rally past here are probably getting picked off, as there has been 76 killed so far this game. Phobos does eventually expand to this location, so I'm glad to see that. With Ketroc being much more cost efficient, that's quite important in this game. Ketroc going to lose another transferring SCV. And yeah, let's see here. As Phobos just keeps poking forward with its Marines. It's lost 117 this game, whereas Ketroc has lost not a single Raven. It's losing barely anything compared to Phobos. The current Viking count, 15 to 13, so that should be all right for Phobos. But we see Phobos isn't grouping up its Vikings as well as Ketroc, maybe because Ketroc is the initiator of the fight, whereas Phobos doesn't feel like it can take that air fight. And yeah, now Banshees, Ravens, and Vikings are bullying the bio a little bit here. Phobos, though, now getting forward production established all over the map. So many racks. I don't know how many Marines it's going to be able to produce at a time, but the answer is a lot, as it just has a ton of racks. No add-ons or anything like that. Just pure racks to build simple Marines. Although they won't be so simple, as they are heading to +3 attack. No armor, notably, though, so it'll be interesting to see if those are ever established or not. Those armor upgrades for everything else. Let's see here, as Ketroc is kind of breaking the contain a little bit, forcing Phobos back. The blue Terran does have very good mining at this point with all these extra planetaries up. As yeah, Phobos still has tanks sieged up outside Ketroc's base. We do actually see not a bad Viking trade for the red Terran there, as it does pick off a few of Ketroc's, and those are the kind of trades Phobos needs. So now it really has grouped up all its Vikings, picks off a Raven too, so I think that's actually the best air engagement we've seen all game from Phobos. Then its Vikings, they kind of go more into passive mode, which is where Ketroc punishes them, it seems. When they were all grouped up and were actively attacking, it was going quite all right. Now things are looking okay, as it is Vikings for Vikings. Phobos well, it's actually down on the air upgrades for now. But, oh, and pardon me, yeah, Phobos does have +2 armor. I should have pointed that out for the bio. Vikings against Vikings, still trading out. Phobos definitely has the better economy to sustain this, purely just based off the fact that it's got 9 orbitals, so it's got 7 mules active on the map right now. That will mean the red Terran bot will mine out much quicker than its opponent. We also have this planetary still causing problems, as this bio is just being messed with a great deal by the pathing here on Interloper. The Vikings for Phobos are still getting some good shots off on Ravens, on Vikings, anytime Ketroc pokes its head forward. So Phobos really having a nice count of Vikings presently. Definitely needs the SCVs to heal these up, though, as they are all very, very injured. But Ketroc is definitely not trading out as well as it previously was, just due to this air fight changing and really improving for Phobos. And what a game this is, as the blue Terran is just playing incredibly defensively, but the Ravens, I mean, getting free value for the most part. But then Ketroc still has fewer bases than its opponent. I mean, Phobos has more mining potential by 2 bases compared to Ketroc, and that is a lot of resources that Ketroc needs to make up for with good trades. It's been doing a good job of that so far, but whether it's enough, it's difficult to determine. We've got Phobos just adding on more and more production. I'm really not sure that it needs a whopping 27 barracks to produce 27 Marines at a time. because if it needs to build 27 Marines at a time, something has seriously gone wrong. This is something that I've kind of noticed with a fair few of the best bots in the late game, is that some of them do tend to overbuild production. And I mean, it's like, all right, yeah, having lots of production is a good thing. It's not exactly something that you should harp on too much, but in this case, like 29 racks, it's like, I don't know if you need that many racks, Phobos. So we'll see if it's got a hard cap on those, or if it will just keep building those until the game ends, because, like, racks are not free. 30 racks is 4,500 minerals, which isn't a ton, but it's a significant amount. That's for sure. Phobos continues to get upgrades, getting armor, getting ground weapons as well. Ketroc has kind of been pushed away from the natural of its opponent. Or pardon me, Phobos has been pushed away from the natural of its opponent, now looking to potentially try and break this planetary. If it could actually break one of these planetaries, that would be a great success for Phobos, as Ketroc is now flying around with its ravens, actually harassing some of the production, harassing some of the bases, burning that raven energy. I'll try and keep zoomed out as much as possible in this game, because I know it is hard to get everything on the screen or pay attention to all the important happenings at once. Ketroc notably now building 3 command centers, so wanting to have more of that economy. And that makes sense, as it's now building up a huge bank compared to its opponent, just trading out more efficiently. A few random Marines on the ground chasing away all the air units of Ketroc, though. That's actually quite nice for Phobos. Phobos really keeping its Vikings back, as they're very injured, and it only has 1 SCV set to repair all of these. So this is partly problematic for Phobos, that it wants to pull its Vikings back, but notably, unlike a lot of Terran bots, Phobos isn't just sending an injured unit all the way home to the main base. That's something that a lot of Terran bot authors do, which is, yeah, literally just send, like, a unit gets below 1/5 HP or whatever, send it home, have it repaired in the main. But Phobos is a bot that focuses so hard on the push that the bot authors have decided, and very coolly decided, to just bring SCVs to repair on the push to keep units in the fight as much as possible, which is actually really quite cool. But of course, there's not quite enough SCVs in this case, although there's like 2 that are repairing these. They've got a lot of work to do, but maybe they'll get it done. Vikings for Phobos. We do see the full HP ones are the ones only wanting to fight, whereas the rest of the red ones are actually kind of just grouping up, waiting to be repaired, which is not necessarily ideal, as it leaves the other ones high and dry, and is allowing Ketroc to take some better trades compared to its opponent. Phobos continues to build more barracks in this game, which it definitely does not need at this point. We've got a few Marines still wandering around for Phobos, but Ketroc is looking very good in this game, just winning the war of attrition so far anyway. Now the Blue Terran does have fewer bases than its opponent still, but yes, Phobos is just burning money at this point by building extra racks. The trades just haven't been that good. Let's see Vikings deaths. I mean, it's 65 to 45. That's actually not horrible for Phobos. All things considered, that's actually way better than I thought it would be. So who knows? Maybe the Viking trades are good enough in order to win this game. As, let's see, tank does get deleted by a defensive tank for Ketroc, but we do see this base of the Blue Terran is actually starting to mine out, and we will see more of that. As I mean, that if that base is mining out, this one, okay, it's got a fair bit of life left in it. So Ketroc's got quite a bit of mining to do still, but look at this. Now we're actually seeing it start to mine money from a base of Phobos, saying, give me my minerals, as now mules are competing against each other for money. So very cool late game feature by Ketroc doing that. Vikings in the sky for Phobos do seem to be taking a bit of a beating, though, as Ketroc continues to do work, and the bio and the tanks of Phobos just haven't amounted to much, and Ketroc's actually successfully making return trips with this, which is quite impressive and actually quite significant. Taking money from the pocket of Phobos. Phobos just building more racks. Please stop. All right, guys, if we can get a like on this video for every racks Phobos has built this game, that would be phenomenal. As by the end of this video, we're probably going to be at like 1 million barracks or something like that. Bio stimming forward to kill off a few SCVs. That's really another source of the main value that Phobos has got this game, but of course it is limited, as Ketroc does have most of its bases saturated. Looks like Ketroc trying to move some tanks towards the upper right. Some SCVs moving up there as well. That makes sense as this base is mined out. So once again, very good late game programming by Ketroc not to have tanks defending a base that isn't mining at all. This base is no longer a priority. Add-ons are being fed, instantly canceled. This is why, if you're a bot author, please add a cooldown. This is my plea to all Terran bot authors. Please, or any bot author, please add a cooldown of like at least like a second or 5 seconds or 10 seconds of trying to build an add-on, because we do see that a bit. I don't know how many resources that was, but it was a few resources lost. Phobos is now pushing into this base, actually going to kill it off, which, I mean, it's ground being gained for the Red Terran. It's not a free pickoff, of course. Ketroc is doing much more important work, denying mining at this critical base in this game, because if we see Phobos, it really is starting to mine out a lot of its bases. Notably, Phobos isn't building any more racks. It's building a lot more SCVs, though. I'm not sure it needs that many at this point. Looks like Ketroc is moving forward with its Vikings, actually massacring the Vikings of Phobos, once again taking a pretty good trade, as the planetary was saved there. 82 dead Vikings to 52. Phobos still mining from more bases than its opponent. Gosh, this Sim City. I'm surprised there isn't any stuck Marines. That's actually quite impressive with this. But, like, is it even possible for the Marines built at this barracks to get out of there? Because, like, I think it's totally walled in. Like, I don't know if a Marine built out of that racks could ever escape. Kind of makes me wonder if there is potentially stuck units anywhere else, but it doesn't look like it, so well done, Phobos. But, oh, there's a Marine. Is it going to pop out on the right side? Yeah, see, that guy's stuck. That's unfortunate. We could definitely see more of that as this game goes on from Phobos. Looks like the Red Terran, now that it has... Well, I mean, it didn't actually kill this planetary, but it is just refocusing to defend this base location. Well, kind of just to be attacking towards this base location, which has the same result. Ketroc is at 20,000 minerals in the game, which is a ridiculous amount of money, as it has just traded better than its opponent, way more efficiently. Phobos is moving forward, though, kills off a starport, and let's see, Ketroc is still flying around. This is one of the more goofy but longer TVTs I've ever seen, as it's just Vikings versus Vikings en masse, but the grouping behavior of Ketroc is definitely better than that of Phobos, as we see Vikings moving forward. Phobos just doesn't want to fight with injured Vikings that much. It does there, so it realizes that there is a couple vulnerable ones. Some Marines are trying to get into the main base of Ketroc. A single Marine going for it. Gonna make an honest run, trying to kill all these Ravens, but then gets killed by an auto turret, unsurprisingly. Phobos still mining more than its opponent. We see Ketroc drop the Mule Hammer to try and steal money from its opponent's pocket. And that is actually quite significant, as Phobos is now trading less than it, well, it's actually not at 200 supply, so it's struggling to maintain that at this point. Mule's still causing problems, going for more of Phobos' money. And, I mean, Ketroc is, or pardon me, Phobos is killing off a lot of those mules, but there's many more being dropped. Vikings do get a Raven, so it's not like Phobos is taking only bad trades. It's just worse trades than its opponent, with 71,000 resources lost to 30,000. Which is very significant trades. Vikings in the sky doing their thing. Phobos has a ridiculous amount of gas. Not really enough minerals to maintain its production anymore. All these other bases are starting to mine out. We could be heading towards a Ketroc victory, although there is a fair few resources still available for Phobos. And Ketroc, I mean, it's got a very good bank. Short on, well, gas is its lowest resource. Vikings versus Vikings. Auto turrets killing off tanks, though, is very nice for Ketroc. What a long, scrappy game this has been between these two. I'm just checking the other bases of Ketroc. Yeah, they really are starting to mine out. So eventually Ketroc will run out of minerals, but not that long prior to Phobos running out of money, I think. So I think like Ketroc will run out of money to mine, and then Phobos will not be far behind it with its basically zero bank. And you can kind of see in this game which bot was more focused on winning in the late game. Ketroc is a bot that's very much programmed for that, whereas Phobos tends to... We saw the initial push. It tries to win the game within like the first 10-15 minutes at the most, and its behavior is just kind of the same throughout this. Vikings versus Vikings. I mean, the trades are not horrible. It's currently 116 dead Vikings to 80. It's just there's been so many Marines killed, so many SCVs killed. There's Ketroc dropping the mules, the money-stealing mule hammer. As let's see, these Ravens may even be able to hit this base too, as Phobos really is just falling in supply, unable to maintain the trades that it wanted to. Now trying to hit this base once again, and I think we can fast forward a little bit here. As, yeah, Ketroc seems to have been able to weather the Phobos storm. Very cool showing from both of these bots, though. Just Ketroc doing what it absolutely does best with this turtle behavior. Those poor Marines still stuck in the production of Phobos. I mean, very cool dynamic production, though, that, like, Phobos is just like, yeah, build racks around all the bases. Why not? But now all these other bases are mined out, except this one. And then Phobos will just run out of units. And Ketroc still has 24,000 resources in the bank, despite having 2 fewer bases than its opponent, is very darn impressive. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that's like, we can criticize Phobos for having worse late game than Ketroc, but it's just all comes down to design and what the focus is of the bot authors. Like, there is little things, production. I don't think there's ever a case where you need 39 barracks in a game. But would an extra, gosh, I don't know, 3,000 minerals from not building 20 barracks change this game? I don't think so. It comes down to unit positioning more so. Phobos having a high amount of SCVs in this game as well, more than it needed towards the end of the game. And then just, yeah, the positioning of the Vikings. It was really well done by Ketroc. Ravens dropping auto turrets. Like, the fact that Ketroc is programmed to drop mules and steal money from its opponent is a very clear sign that it's a late game focus bot. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you've watched up until this point and you're not a subscriber, what are you doing? Go ahead and subscribe. If you want to support the channel and the casting of these longer bot games, consider becoming a YouTube member. There's various perks you can get by pressing that join button. And then subscribe. Yeah, I already said subscribe. Comment, like, and you can join the SC2AI Discord or check out AIarena.net. That's where all these games, these bot games are from. You can download replays of bots playing against each other. You can... oh, there's actually a little bit of money left at this base, but that will not last long. Yeah, you can download replays, see guides on how to program bots, that kind of thing. It will take Ketroc a while to clean out Phobos. Ketroc writing out easy and a heart and a Pac-Man with its mules. Banshees, auto turrets, slowly killing everything. GG.